Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the Generation 2 Gold Solo Challenge series. Today we're going to have a duel with two solo challenges between Tauros and Miltank. Before we begin, let's go over the challenge rules real quick. Red must be defeated, no hidden power, mimic, or double team, no one-hit knockout moves are allowed, no egg or event moves are allowed, no glitches will be knowingly used. Okay, let's begin. You might be wondering, why are you already pitting a Generation 1 Pokemon against a Generation 2 Pokemon? Well, let's take a look at these two. Tauros is a bull, Miltank is a cow. They're obviously meant to be compared. This is the battle of the bovines, the barnyard bash, the combat of the cattle, the fight at the farm, the rumble at the ranch. I think I'll stick with that one for the title, but you get the points. These two were introduced in Generation 1 and Generation 2 respectively. Both are normal type. In Gold and Silver, they are both found in the same routes. One is male only and one is female only, respectively. Each has the same base stat total, focusing on offense and bulk, respectively. So let's dive into some competitive history. First up, we got Tauros. He had a hot start initially, but simmered immediately. You can see all those minuses. He peaked early. Being only OU in Generation 1 and then ending up in the basement longing for the days of old, Tauros is cooked. In Red and Blue, he was an icon, and ran moves like Hyper Beam and Blizzard. He was amazing and could do almost anything. Looking at Generation 2 competitive move pool, where he was banned from UU, keep that in mind, we can see the offensive-minded list. Rest and Sleep Talk with Earthquake and Double Edge show the power that will be put on display. This bodes well for a solo challenge run in my opinion. On the other hand, Miltank started hot in Generation 2 and began souring almost immediately. By Generation 8, Miltank was untiered. This cow had milked competitive Pokemon for all it's worth by Diamond and Pearl. In terms of Generation 2 where it was OU, it plays more of a support role. Heal Bell and Milk Drink are excellent moves to stalk competitively, but in a solo challenge run, they are absolutely top tier. Since their debuts, these Pokemon have fallen off and haven't really gotten any special treatment or attempts to revitalize their roles. No evolutions in either species or mega forms for Pokemon that can seemingly get them, or any base stat changes. Oh well, now they're going to get some redemption in this solo challenge video. Moving to stats, types, and moves, Tauros is a normal type. This type is pretty good for a solo challenge in terms of consistency. Even better are its stats. We're looking at average 75 base HP, excellent 100 base attack, excellent 95 base defense, surprisingly good 70 base special attack and special defense, as well as excellent 110 speed. Wait, what? Tauros doesn't have 70 base special attack? Oh, that was only in Generation 1. So I guess now it only has poor 40 base special attack. That is really bad. How could Game Freak massacre my boy like that? Anyways, Tauros has 490 base stat total. Even worse, let's take a look at Tauros Learn Set. Just pause a moment and take that in. Man, oh man. We won't be able to touch ghost types until very late in the game. No Mud Slap or even Rollout. I swear, the most random Pokemon get these moves, except for Tauros. At least we get Pursuit against Morty. Wait, what? Dark type attacks use the special stat in Generation 2? Game Freak, what were you thinking? At least very late in the game, Tauros can learn Earthquake. Unfortunately, things are going to be tough. Tough as Rawhide for Tauros. Miltank is also a normal type. It focuses more on defenses with excellent 95 base HP, average 80 base attack, excellent 105 base defense, poor 40 base special attack, average 70 base special defense, and excellent 100 base speed for a base stat total of 490. Game Freak must have been paying more attention to Miltank, as its move pool is quite good. Just to show you, look at the breadth of that move pool. I apologize if you can't read the next table, it's quite large. Stomp early on is good, as are Rollout, Defense Curl, Milk Drink, Heal Bell, Return, and Earthquake. There won't be many things that can stop Miltank. Overall, Miltank has the advantage. It's going to have a consistent time with all the challenges in the game. It has better access and type coverage than Tauros. I don't think it'll be a total blowout though, because Tauros will gain momentum after facing early challenges. This time, I'll track the major checkpoints between these two a little more closely just to show you what I mean. Compared to our last challenge with Mantine and Skarmory, you're going to see the overall advantage of the normal type. I'm also getting a little better at these challenges, so I'm going to keep that in mind for my rankings. With all that out of the way, let's begin these solo challenges. Let's start our adventure with Tauros. As we get situated and head downstairs, I set the day for Sunday so that we can pick up return later on in the game. This is going to be key. I luckily land on Sunday after accidentally scrolling through a bunch, but that's okay, let's go. I head to Elm's lab to pick Tauros up. We need a good name, and I think we're going to name him the Old Bull. You might have noticed I removed the manipulation rule from my introduction. Seeing Mantine last time makes me want to take action to ensure fairness. I just reset until the attack stat is good enough. When I was younger, my father would try to tell me the fable of the old bull and the young bull. I didn't appreciate it very much at that age, and now, I still don't really see the point, but here's to you, Dad. By the way, if you can't tell, this channel is kind of new. It's been around for a few years, but this is the first time I've uploaded videos. I have a couple of subscribers now, but I have plans to flesh this series out in scope and add some analysis videos when the time comes. So please subscribe if you enjoy this video. I'm at the mercy of the algorithm, so anything helps. So after chatting with Mr. Pokemon and picking up some berries, it's time to take on the first rival battle. I decide to set Batty's starter to Cyndaquil with Tauros' type, strong attack, and good defense. It's not really going to matter which starter we face. I guess looking back, Earthquake could be kind of super effective to the Cyndaquil, but hey, what can you do? As you can see in the background, Tackle's doing a little over a third damage to Cyndaquil, and Cyndaquil's Tackle's doing only about 2. So this is a pretty easy rival fight. After we beat him, we're gonna head back to Elm's lab and then on to Violet City. On the way to Violet City, we catch our HM employee. He's gonna be flying me and Tauros around. Thanks, Hoot Hoot. As we head toward Violet City, you can see I'm skipping a lot of battles. In fact, Tauros could probably do a minimum battles run of this game. There's really one major issue, the move pool. Tauros has no way of touching ghost types until much later in the run. And even when it can learn another move, it's going to be quite a challenge for a while before it can consistently hit any ghost types. So as we skip many battles, you might be wondering, Hidden Gem, didn't you say we would do Sprout Tower? And the answer is yes, but not until after Bugsy's gym. To hit Batty's Ghastly, I'm going to need to deplete all my PP and struggle to victory. Since Tauros is powerful, I don't think struggling is going to be the issue in and of itself. We just need to have gotten rid of all the power points, which Tauros is going to have a lot of, trust me. So we've made it to Faulkner's gym, and we get there at level 6. We're going to be 3 levels below the Spearow we face, and it has relatively high attack compared to most of the things in this gym. As you can see in the battle, it also outspeeds us, and Peck does a nice 6 damage. And we're taking quite a bit here, but with the berry, it's still not going to be an issue for Tauros. We'll heal up after the battle. It would be nice if we can get to level 8 after this Birdkeeper battle before getting to Faulkner. Unlike Spearow before, these Pidgey are level 7, and Peck is only doing about 3 damage. After 3 tackles, the first goes down. The second Pidgey comes out, and it's about the same story. We get the XP, and oof, so close. I don't think it'll matter, but in the battle of Faulkner, you'll see why I wanted it to be level 8. So now let's take on Faulkner. First is this Pidgey. It's also at level 7, so it's going to go down after 3 tackles. Now we finally reached level 8, and Tauros learns Rage. Rage may seem innocuous as a 20 base power attack, but if you're hit each time after using it, it builds up your attack going all the way to 6 stages, I believe. As you can see, our power builds against the Pidgeotto. Unfortunately, it is a 4-hit knockout, so I don't know if Tackle would have been better. We skip Sprout Tower for now and head to Azalea Town. In Slowpoke, well, we're cruising through all the rockets. You might be wondering why I was making such a big deal earlier about needing to deplete my power points. And yes, the Slowpoke well and Bugsy's gem and a bunch of potions would make depleting power points a relatively simple task. As you can see when I take on the Rocket Grunt, my power points are starting to get depleted. Unfortunately, as we take down this Coughing, you can see I level up learning Horn Attack. Don't get me wrong, this is a great move at this point, but it's going to add to our power point pool. To make matters worse, and getting to the point I was trying to make the whole time, we're healed immediately after teleporting back to Kurt's place. And no, you can't take on the rival before completing Slowpoke well or beating Bugsy. Trust me, I've tried. So it is time to take on Bugsy. But it's Bugsy. How hard could it be? First he sends out Metapod, and we use Horn Attack. Horn Attack does a little less than half, so we have to finish it off. It's less damage than I'd like. Let's see what happens against Kakuna. Horn Attack also doesn't knock it out. So let's see what happens with the real challenge in Scyther. It moves first, we return with a Horn Attack, we go again, and then it starts using Fury Cutter. So it's too little too late for Bugsy, and we finish him off. We've got the second badge now in pretty good time, but whatever advantage Tauros has built up is about to get all but slaughtered. By the time we're finally ready, it's been almost 10 minutes of spamming moves endlessly. The missed potential is frustrating, but I think it's about time we get on with this. So we've made it to level 19 with 65 HP, and struggles a 50 base power move with quarter recoil damage. I think we'll be okay. It's just really annoying that we had to do all of this. So first up for baddie is going to be the Ghastly. He's the reason why we had to do all of this. Struggle hits and knocks it out. So now it's time for Zubat. Struggle hits and knocks it out as well. Things with the Cool Lava up here could get kind of interesting. We hit with Struggle and it does about a third. It hits us with Ember and does 8 damage. Struggle hits again, we take it down to orange health, and then it hits us with Smokescreen. So of course we miss. Ember hits us again, but we hit it and knock it out. We've taken down baddie, and our PP depletion exercise has paid off. 26 minutes is a respectable time for Tauros, but I'm thinking Miltank is going to graze on the competition. We head to Elms to pick up the Young Bull. Since it's the trend with hip hop and rap to drop the O, we're going to do the same for Young Bull. It's trendy. You might remember last time when I talked about the male and female Pokemon differences in Generation 2. Coincidentally, when I decided to do these two, it happened to work out that they were exclusively gendered. However, we're still going to reset until the attack stat for Miltank is respectable. We take on the baddie, and his starter is also Cyndaquil. Might as well make it consistent. Since Miltank also has a lower attack stat, I'm expecting this battle to take another turn. Tackle does about a quarter to Cyndaquil, it hits us with Leer, we hit again, and Tackle only does 4 damage. And like I thought, Tackle is a 4-hit knockout. Not bad. As we head to Violet City, we catch our flying pro, Hoot Hoot. In Miltank's run, we name him Ambassador. I try to think of these names on the fly, so let me know if you have any ideas. Noctowl is an interesting Pokemon that I have big plans for one day. Not today, Ambassador. Like Tauros, I plan to do minimum battles through the first part of the game for Miltank. I do go ahead and finish Sprout Tower before taking on Faulkner. By the time we were ready to fight the first gym leader, Young Bull is at level 11. So first up for Faulkner is Pidgey, and we're pretty over leveled at this point. Tackle does over half, and its tackle does 3 damage, so we're going to finish it off next turn. Pidgeotto shouldn't be much of a challenge either. Pidgeotto has Gust, which does 5 damage, but our tackle does about a quarter or a third. I can't really tell. Okay, I guess it was the third. We knocked it out in 3 hits. Nice. So we're moving on to the next badge pretty easily and in good time. We skip ahead to Bugsy's gem as we take down the Grunt and Slowpoke well. Unlike Tauros, we won't have any issues with ghost types at this part of the game. Miltank can learn Mud Slap while Tauros can't. In addition, Miltank learns Stomp at level 13, which is really good. As the footage is rolling in the back, you can see how much carnage we're causing with this move. I also apologize that my script didn't go off at Faulkner, but we do have that badge. We continue with the trend of minimal battles and work our way, stomping through the trainers at Bugsy's gym. Not even this trainer's Beedrill can withstand a stomp. I think the battle with Bugsy is going to be no issue, so it's time to take him on. For some strange reason, I think this is going to be a fast battle. So first, Bugsy's going to send out Metapod, and we saw with Tauros he was a little more defensive. It's the same story here, but we knock it out next turn. Against Kakuna, we use Stomp again, but we get a flinch, so we're moving on to Scyther. On Scyther, we get a Stomp, it flinches, and then we Stomp again for a critical hit. That was a pretty good battle. I'll take that. So now we need to take on the baddie, and then head on to Whitney's gym. Instead of having to grind through our power points, we can actually teach Mud Slap to Miltank and take on the rival. First though, we actually need to teach the move to Miltank before we continue. Although Growl is part of Miltank's competitive moveset in Gold and Silver, I don't see much use for it moving forward. So now, it's baddie time. So baddie wants to battle. He's going to send out Ghastly first, and Miltank's going to use this penultimate move here, Mud Slap. Hypnosis misses, so Mud Slap finishes off the Ghastly. Next up we got Zubat. So we're going to choose Stomp here, and it's just going to obliterate Zubat. Up next we got Cool Lava. Stomp does a little over half, which is really good damage, so we finish it off after one more. We finished off baddie in no time. Miltank took about 21 minutes to get to this point of the game. Compared to Tauros, that's about 5 minutes faster. Since her attack is a little bit lower, some of our battles are taking some time and are going to slow her down throughout the game. At least Miltank could learn moves outside of its normal type before having to face the Ghastly. Maybe Tauros can pick up the momentum through Whitney and Morty. In Ilex Forest, we pick up our HM ace Paris, but we all know why we're here. We're here to talk about Tauros. He's really got to pick up the pace, and I think that perfect opportunity is in Goldenrod City. We have a normal type gem coming up, and Tauros can hit hard. In fact, let's see how it matches up with Whitney. Okay, so first for Whitney is going to be her Clefairy. And you may notice things are going really slow here, but trust me, it's going to be worth it. I don't capture all these frames for nothing. We're going to opt for a rage strategy because I think that's going to be our best bet against Whitney's team. Unfortunately, Clefairy uses Charm. I must have forgotten about that attack. So we've got ground to make up. Then Fire Spin misses. Okay, we use Rage again and then Double Slap misses. So we're about to whittle Clefairy all the way down, and then to make matters worse, it goes for Solar Beam. There have been like 0 attacks total from Clefairy in this entire battle. We finally knock it out, but we're in a pretty bad spot for Miltank. I think we're in an attack deficit right now. It's really bad. So as rollout hits, we're slowly going to build up our attack, but rollout's also going to get more powerful. So now it's a race against time. We're going to see what happens. It's going to be close. Rollout hits. Okay, it only does 20, and our rage is building. I think this is it. We've done it. We knocked out Whitney, but it was a little bit too close for comfort. So in no time at all, Tauros has gotten the plain badge from Whitney. But to be honest, this moment is bittersweet. On the road to Ekritique, I'm starting to feel the pressure. Tauros has like no moves right now to even face the Ghastly and Morty's gem, let alone the Gigar. And believe me, there are a lot of those. I don't know how Tauros can't learn rollout. It's outrageous. It's a tease. How could you do this, Game Freak? It's like a slap in the face. It's one thing if Tauros is like some random Pokemon in a random generation, but this is generation 2. Every Pokemon is accounted for here. We've got 2 regions, and it's generation 2. I really hope other YouTubers don't figure this out before it's too late, but most Pokemon are developed here with full movesets. There's a lot of content here, and it's not covered very much. The Game Freak thought this was the last game, so they included the ability to catch everything, and even included a daycare, egg moves, even Crystal got a move tutor, and most things have some semblance of a move pool. I'm sure we'll get there with other Pokemon, but for something like Tauros, it was a classic in Generation 1. This is almost criminal. How could they take such an icon and then deprecate it in the next iteration? And for what, a cow? Apparently. It is what it is. So, luckily or unluckily, depending on how you look at things, Tauros can learn Pursuit. How nice. It's a base 40 special attack at level 26, so you know that the balance of gold and silver is truly in jeopardy. After I go and pick up a mint berry to wake up Tauros later at Morty's gym, I decided to fight the baddie in Burn Tower. We're at level 26 now, so we do know Pursuit. You're going to see its full power on display here. So up first to bat for baddie is going to be the Hunter. And this is where our Pursuit strategy is only viable. Pursuit does about a third, and then Hunter does its only viable strategy in Curse. Luckily we knock it out, and in Generation 2, Curse only takes effect if you don't knock out the other Pokemon. Unfortunately, we have Magnemite next, so we're not going to knock it out immediately. And Horn Attack only does a little more than half. Curse hits us pretty hard, Sonic Boom takes us down to about half. But we knock out Magnemite. So we're moving on to Zubat. Zubat should be a one hit. Oh, critical hit. I don't think that mattered. And then we're on to Quilava. Horn Attack does really good damage, but Curse and then this Ember, which doesn't knock us out surprisingly, does pretty good damage. So we're pretty hurt by the end of the battle, and that wasn't the most reassuring victory. I think Tauros needs to train a little while before we're ready to take on Morty's gym. So now that we're trained up to level 29, we'll take on the rest of Morty's gym and see how that goes. Against Medium Gray, she has 2 Haunters, and I think they're going to be a good gauge for seeing what a future battle against Morty looks like, so let's try it out. Her first Haunter, I use Pursuit because I don't have another choice, and it uses Mean Look. Okay, so we use Pursuit and knock it out. Next is another Haunter, and since I don't have a choice, we'll go for Pursuit again. And again, her Haunter uses Mean Look, so that's an easy victory. Yeah, Grace, I have the same reaction. I'm going to need to save between those battles. That's how unsure I am of Tauros. Let's see how the next trainer battle goes. Okay, I guess this guy only has 1 Haunter and it's level 22. I used Pursuit, and now Haunter decides to use Curse? Bro, it's too late. One more Pursuit takes it out. Okay, so far in this gym we haven't really been tested. Let's try the last trainer. So we're up against Medium Martha. This time, Medium Martha sends out Ghastly at this point in the gym. Okay, Pursuit is so close to one-hitting it, but it uses Curse. So let's see how the rest of this goes. Haunter comes out and Pursuit does half. I guess it has no other move to choose than Curse, so it fails at using that, and then one more Pursuit takes care of it. Next up is one more Ghastly, and it uses Mean Look. Okay, Pursuit finishes off Martha. So I guess we've made it to Morty. So I'm assuming other than Gengar, all the Pokemon in this gym just can't touch normal types. There's no other explanation. All I have to say is I can chalk that up to excellent game design. Well, I'm definitely not counting my calves before they hatch, because Dream Eater, surprisingly, is a Psychic type move, not Ghost, unlike everything else in this gym. So if we're put to sleep twice, it's pretty much game over. Let's see what happens against Morty. And I apologize for the dramatic pause there after saving. Let's begin. First up is Ghastly. We can't knock it out with Pursuit and it uses Curse. So it's all but set up. Let's see what happens. And out comes Haunter. Against Haunter, we're put to sleep, so our berry is now gone. Next turn, we take it out with a Pursuit. Is Gengar gonna get 100% accuracy on a 60% accurate move? Actually, not yet, but the second time around, it does. So I think it's pretty much over. We don't wake up, Dream Eater hits, Curse is destroying us, and Tauros has his first reset. Well, that was tough luck, but not too tough. I think another couple levels will help knock out that first Ghastly, and we'll be gold by the time we get to Gengar. At level 33, we retry Morty. So I'm hoping these levels pay off. It's absolutely key Pursuit knocks out this first Ghastly, and I'll explain why. Pursuit hits, and it knocks it out. Great. So now we're on the Haunter with no Curse damage. We use Pursuit, and then it uses Curse. So we've delayed Curse by over 2 turns. Against Gengar, we finally take Curse damage, but Pursuit does over a third. Then Gengar misses with Hypnosis, so we're able to knock it out the next turn. Against Haunter, we use Pursuit and it does over half. Then it uses Mean Look and we knock it out. So even though overall that was an easy battle, just by delaying Curse a few turns helped us secure that victory. Without being able to knock out that first Ghastly, this battle wouldn't have been possible. It's time to head on to the non-linear part of Johto. Tauros is clocking in at about 56 minutes. How does Miltank do through the next 2 badges compared to Tauros? Miltank arrives to Goldenrod City and is ready to take on Whitney at level 21. It already has Milk Drink, which is one of Miltank's signature moves. Milk Drink is effectively the same as Recover, which is a move you would normally see on something like Alakazam, but the main difference here today is Miltank's bulk. It has high HP and high defense, so when you use Milk Drink, even though you're only gaining back 50% of your HP, it just feels so much more significant. It's time to take on Whitney, and first up is her Clefairy. We're going to stomp our way through her Pokemon, but I want you to pay close attention to this first move Clefairy uses. That's right, Pain Split. What a strange move. I didn't even know this was a move in Generation 2, but apparently 2 Pokemon can learn it. Mischievous and Coughing, interestingly enough. If you're not aware, Pain Split averages the HP values, not percentages, between the 2 Pokemon, so it benefits the Clefairy here. Now, as you saw, we just use Milk Drink and recover our health, and then stomp our way through the Clefairy. So it's time to take on Miltank. This is a fun matchup. Stomp does about a quarter to Miltank each turn, and it doesn't look like Rollout's doing enough to us. So by the end, we knock out the Miltank. I don't think that critical mattered, and we collect the Plain Badge. Unlike my displeasure with Tauros, I think Miltank has what it takes to face its challenges in the city. The Kimono Girls are no issue, so let's see how Miltank does against the baddie in Burn Tower, and especially as Haunter compared to Tauros. We now have Rollout after picking it up on the way to Ekritique, and combined with the Defense Curl, it's going to be cheesy in the mid game. So let's put that on display here. It may not be apparent why we're using Defense Curl with Rollout, but as it turns out, that actually doubles the power. This is going to be good because you get a defense boost, and you're able to quickly build back up momentum in case you miss. Haunter gets off a Curse, but that's okay, we hit it next turn with Rollout. Up against the Magnemite, we also hit with Rollout, and it doesn't knock it out. But as long as we hit it next turn, we should be okay, and we do. So up against Zubat, we hit it with Rollout, and it knocks it out. We just need to hit one more time, and it does. This is a pretty good strategy for the mid game, as it's going to let us cheese a lot of battles like this, but it's definitely not going to last the entire time. But for now, we'll just roll with what we got. As we prepare for Morty, we train Miltank up a few levels and see how that battle goes. With Rollout and Mintberry, I don't think Miltank will have too many issues getting past Mortimer. Alright, so Morty's going to send out Ghastly first, and we're going to use our Defense Curl Rollout strategy. As the name implies, we use Defense Curl on the first turn, and then Ghastly uses Curse as expected. As long as Rollout hits, we won't take any damage, and it does hit, so that's pretty good. Next turn is Haunter, and as long as we hit, we should be okay, but we miss. Curse hits, and Hypnosis misses, thankfully. Next turn, surprisingly, Rollout doesn't take it out, so we take even more Curse damage. but we knock it out moving on to Gengar. As long as we don't miss here, we should be okay. One rollout knocks out the Gengar with a critical, but I don't think it matters. Then on the next Haunter, another rollout hits, knocking it out. So even though we missed on that one Haunter, that battle went pretty well overall. Miltank has been doing incredibly well so far. It's ahead by 15 minutes at this early in the matchup against Tauros. Tauros has a lot of ground to make up. However, I'm curious to see how the rest of the game goes for Miltank as the challenge increases and Tauros gains access to better moves. We'll stick with Miltank through the next 3 badges until we take on the Radio Tower. Miltank and I head to Olivine Lighthouse to start the medicine quest and take on Chuck, Jasmine, and Pryce. I think we ought to go in the order of Chuck, Pryce, and Jasmine for these 2 Pokemon because we don't have a good answer to Jasmine and her steel types right now. They're really defensive and both of our Pokemon specialize in attack. As we arrive at Chuck's gym, I am a bit tense since Miltank is a normal type. I think we'll be okay though through his first few trainers. Let's see how it goes for Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee comes out and Stomp takes care of it. Okay, but now we need to face Hitmonchan. How's that gonna go? Well, Hitmonchan is a bit more defensive. As you can see with our Stomp, it's only doing 3/4 damage, but it goes for Thunder Punch. Okay, we're fine. We knock it out with Stomp next turn. On the next trainer, we have a Machop and a Machoke. The Machoke could be interesting. Against Machop, one Stomp takes it out. Against Machoke, we do decent damage and get a flinch, so one more Stomp takes it out. Okay, that is not really going to tell me how Miltank is going to fare against Chuck. All I can tell though is that we're not doing enough damage yet to reliably take Chuck on, so I opt to train up to level 35 against some of the swimmers I skipped on the way just to be safe. At level 35, I return to Chuck and take on his last trainer before we take on the leader himself. First up is Mankey, and Stomp is a 1-hit. The next Mankey comes out and it's also a 1-hit. Primate could be interesting, but actually what ends up being interesting is that Stomp without a critical is a 1-hit against it. So I guess we're just going to go into Chuck blindly. His first Primate is going to be a few levels higher than the one we just saw, and Poliwhirl is always a wild card. Let's see how it goes. After he gives a speech and throws the rock, of course. At Chuck's gym, we're not going to be able to use our defense crawl and rollout strategy, so we're just going to have to take out Chuck's Pokemon with Stomp. First comes Primate, and Stomp is going to do a lot of damage, but it doesn't knock it out. Luckily we get a flinch, and we knock out Primate next turn, moving on to Poliwrath. And Poliwrath can be kind of scary. It could either use Dynamic Punch here, confusing us, or put us to sleep with Hypnosis. We're going to see how much Stomp does here, and let's just say it doesn't do very much. We don't even do half, but we get a flinch, so we get one more opportunity. We hit, we don't take it out, and it uses Hypnosis. But we had a Mint Berry. Yeah, we didn't get put to sleep at Morty last time, so that battle became trivial very quickly. We get the Storm Badge and we move on to Pryce. So yeah, like I said earlier, I don't think we're ready for Jasmine yet. I do think though if we take on Pryce and combine that with the Rocket Hideout experience we're gonna get, we'll finally be ready for Jasmine. So let's skip ahead. Poor Pryce. This is a guy that you're either too over leveled when you face him or you skip straight to him because ice is so bad. So since Pryce is ice type, rollout is going to be a pretty good move against it. His Piloswine is part ground, but as you'll see, defense curl and rollout is going to be hard to stop. First up against Pryce is going to be his Ace Seal. I'm kidding, but it's the perfect Pokemon to set up this strategy with. After setting up, we hit with rollout. We don't knock it out, but we're only down 25 HP. After we knock out Seal, we're moving on to Dugong, which theoretically could be a worse matchup, but rollout takes it out in one shot. So we're finally up to Piloswine, and it's only level 31, and rollout takes it out in one hit. So that's Pryce. We're moving on. And we're moving on right back to Jasmine. This battle is going to be pretty tough. Her steel types are really defensive, especially Steelix, as the name might suggest. And Miltank only has physical moves. Miltank doesn't match up well to Jasmine's team, which consists of 2 Magnemite and a Steelix. There's going to be a lot of defense on display here, and Miltank's weak attack could be a liability. Against Magnemite, we don't have much of a strategy except for Stomp. There's no way, though, a Stomp is going to knock it out in one hit, unless we get a critical. However, there's still one Magnemite left, so we're going to have to see how Miltank handles paralysis, unless we get a flinch. So we've made it through the first 2 Magnemite without any issues. Maybe this battle will be a lot easier than I thought. Against Steelix, we're going to use Stomp, and oh, that's like a 16th. and Iron Tail hits, giving us a defense drop. Unfortunately, I lock into rollout here, and with that defense drop, Steelix is doing massive damage to Miltank. So unfortunately for Miltank, it's going to incur its first reset. However, that battle went a lot better than I thought it would, so maybe we just need better luck next time. In our second attempt, I opt to teach Surf to Miltank. Maybe it can get us past Steelix's poor special defense. And yeah, Miltank can learn Surf. Isn't that incredible? So yeah, now it's time to showcase the power of Surf. Against the first Magnemite, we do that, and it doesn't knock it out. And then Thunder Wave hits, and then we're confused. But we knock out the first Magnemite, so maybe we'll make it through the second one. Thunderbolt hits, we're confused, and we hit ourselves. Next, we're hit with another Thunderbolt, we're confused, and we hit ourselves. Next, we're hit with a Thunderbolt, and it's a critical, and Miltank doesn't even make it to Steelix. Well, that was a disaster. I think we need a different strategy. Well, third time's the charm, right? And what better way to return the favor to Jasmine than by teaching Miltank Return? It should do slightly more damage than Stomp. Let's see what happens. With the first Magnemite, we're going to showcase that power. Return doesn't seem to do much more damage though, and then we get confused. However, we make it through the confusion and knock out the Magnemite, but we still have one more left to deal with. Unfortunately, on the next turn, we hit ourselves in confusion. Fortunately for us though, it misses with Thunder Wave. On the next turn, Return hits, and then Thunder Wave misses again. Wow, that is so lucky. So we make it back to Steelix in good form. Now we're going to try a new strategy against Steelix. We're going to use Defense Curl, it's going to use Iron Tail, and then we're going to use Defense Curl again, then we're going to use Defense Curl again, and then we're going to use Defense Curl again. I'm thinking if we build up our defenses against Steelix here, and then when we're ready, start going for rollout, it might work out. We use Milk Drink for good measure, and we let the rollout begin. It starts off making very small damage, and by the time we're finished with the first rollout, Jasmine's going to heal. But wait a second, why didn't Jasmine heal there? That doesn't even make sense. Whatever, I guess we somehow cheesed the AI there. Maybe there was some threshold. I don't really have time to do the deep analysis. What I am going to analyze though is the fact that Miltank has 7 badges. And not only does it have 7 badges, it has it at a time of 1 hour and 7 minutes. Let's check back in with Tauros. It might be behind right now, but is it possible for it to make up any time between these intervals? With Tauros, let's head to Chuck's gym. First, we have the Hitmonlee trainer. Tauros uses Horn Attack and takes down Hitmonlee. Next up is Hitmonchan, and remember, it's a bit more defensive. Horn Attack does good damage, but it's not enough, and we get frozen. Luckily, a Fire Punch will thaw us out, so we wait, and not for too long, as we thaw out and take out the Hitmonchan. Next up is Machop and Machoke. We'll see how much damage Machoke can do. With Machop first, it goes down quickly to Horn Attack. Next up is Machoke, and Horn Attack actually does decent damage, almost knocking it out. One more Horn Attack takes care of this trainer. We move the boulders out of the way and take on the last trainer before Chuck. He's got the Mankey family. Horn Attack takes out Mankey number 1, Mankey number 2, and finally Primeape. Okay, let's take on Chuck then. We're level 35. How difficult could it possibly be? So Tauros wasn't challenged very much in Chuck's gym, but I have a feeling Chuck's going to be a little tougher. I don't think Primeape will be too difficult, but Poliwrath could be troublesome. Let's see. The first Horn Attack knocked out the Primeape in 1 hit. Next up we have Poliwrath, where I don't think Horn Attack will knock it out. It doesn't. It does a little over half though, but we're hit with Dynamic Punch and become confused. On the next turn, our confusion hurts ourselves, but Dynamic Punch misses, so we have one more chance. We use Horn Attack, and then we hit ourselves in confusion one more time. Dynamic Punch lands, and Tauros gets his first reset. So that was unfortunate luck, but I think if we try that again, we should be able to get past Chuck. So on the second attempt, we'll face Primeape first. We use Horn Attack and it knocks it out again, no problem. Up against Poliwrath, we use Horn Attack, and then Dynamic Punch misses. So we've secured a victory. It's pretty crazy how inconsistent the battle can be and how different the results are depending on if Dynamic Punch or Hypnosis lands for Chuck. Alright, let's move on. While I'm in Olivine, dropping off the medicine, I decide to try Jasmine. Tauros has rest at this point, so let's see what happens. I doubt we're going to have much luck against Jasmine. Even though Tauros hits a little bit harder than Miltank, Jasmine's steel types are very defensive. Our best move right now is Horn Attack, and we could use rest to cure some of our status ailments, but I don't think it's going to be enough. First up for Jasmine is a Magnemite. We're going to use Horn Attack because we have nothing else we can use. Luckily for us, Thunderwave misses, so we make it through the Magnemite without being paralyzed, but there's still one more. Unfortunately for us, this Magnemite is going to paralyze us. Then we get hit with Confusion, we hit ourselves in Confusion, and then we get hit with Thunderbolt, and then to add on insult to injury, we hit ourselves in Confusion one more time. After one more Thunderbolt, we do finally knock out the Magnemite, but unless Steelix misses this Iron Tail and we can somehow get off this rest, we're going to lose, and we do lose. I tried taking on Jasmine one more time with no luck, so I think it's best if we head on to Pryce. After defeating the Rocket Hideout, it's finally time to take on Pryce. Like with Miltank, he's just easy experience before taking on Jasmine. I don't know what you want me to say. First up is Seal, and it's a one hit to horn attack. Next is Dugong, and I switched to Headbutt, luckily getting a flinch, and one more Headbutt makes it toast. Piloswine is next, and Headbutt doesn't take care of it in one hit, and it goes for a mist for some reason. And then Pryce heals, all but sealing Piloswine's fate. Headbutt hits, and then one more for good measure, secures us the 7th badge. So now it's time to go back and fight Jasmine. On the way back, I pick up Return. I think this move is going to give us the advantage. We need to take care of her. Tauros can't quite stall like Miltank, but its higher attack should be able to bust through Steelix. Let's see what happens. So hopefully with a few levels under our belt and Return in our arsenal, we'll have a bit easier of a time against Jasmine. Unfortunately for me, instead of using Return, I decided to use Headbutt. It must be muscle memory, so I apologize. As a result of that mistake, we pay the price and we're paralyzed. So as I try to use Rest, we're hit with Thunderbolt, and then we're hit with Thunderbolt again, but we finally are able to fall asleep. As we wait, we're unfortunately hit with Confusion, so we'll have that to look forward to when we finally wake up. We take one more Thunderbolt from the Magnemite, and as we wake up, we avoid the Confusion and knock it out, moving on to the next Pokemon. Against our second Magnemite, we don't have as much luck. I try to go for Rest, and then we hit ourselves in Confusion, and then we're paralyzed. So this is looking great. The first Thunderbolt hits, we hit ourselves, we get a little bit of health back from the berry, and then we're hit with one more Thunderbolt. However, we cure ourselves of Confusion, and then we fall asleep, getting healthy once again. So as we wait, we take a Thunderbolt, and we'll see if we get confused here. It doesn't hit, so we're gonna wake up fully healthy. We almost knock out the Magnemite, but not quite, so luckily we get one more miss with Supersonic, and we move on to Steelix. Against Steelix, we're gonna use Icy Wind. I don't know if this is really a good move, and it does about, I don't know, a fifth. I use Icy Wind one more time, and we're not even down to half. Luckily for us, we get a couple of misses with Iron Tail. However, instead of using Icy Wind, I decide to switch back to Return to see how that does. It looks like it might be doing about the same, a little bit less. We get Steelix down to yellow health, but then Jasmine uses a Hyper Potion, causing us to have to redo all of our hard work. Iron Tail gets us down to red, but luckily we have Rest on our side. As we rest back up, we're gonna have to deal with Iron Tail while we sleep. Hopefully we don't get any defense drops, but we do. That is not good. Luckily the first Iron Tail misses, and as we sleep, we get hit with one more Iron Tail. It does about 44 damage, so we're gonna wake up and use one more Headbutt. Unfortunately, it hits, knocking us out. We get reset number 5. That was a really long battle, but I think we made a couple of mistakes, and with a little luck on our side, I think we can make it through Jasmine. Let's try again and see what happens. Alright, so hopefully we can get through Jasmine on this third and hopefully final attempt. Against Magnemite, we're going to use Return finally instead of Headbutt, and we get a one-hit knockout. On the next one, we do the same, and it knocks it out again. So that must have been a range earlier. I think normally it does knock it out. Instead of using Return against Steelix, we're going to use Headbutt, and we get a critical and a flinch. On the next turn, we get another critical, and then Jasmine decides to heal up. So we get to restart, but we're just going to keep headbutting our way through the Steelix. After 2 headbutts, we get a flinch and a miss from Iron Tail. So we're having really good luck this round. Now, we're finally down to where it looks like we could possibly knock out Steelix. We go for headbutt here and we get a critical hit. I think that actually did matter, but whatever. We finished Jasmine at 1 hour and 25 minutes. Admittedly, I think I should have gotten Fire Blast at the game corner. I ran the calcs and it's possible to get a 2-hit knockout on Steelix with Fire Blast. But with Jasmine's Hyper Potions, low power points, and relatively low accuracy, who knows how much time it could have saved. Tauros has 7 badges, Miltank has 7 badges, so let's compare. Miltank clocked in at 1 hour and 7 minutes, so Tauros has slipped behind a few more minutes. Tauros needs to whip things back into shape or Miltank is going to blow it out of the water. Well, Tauros buddy, you've struggled through the hardest parts of the game. I do think your time is coming at the most critical parts of the game. The end game. Let's take on Clair's gym. The first gym trainer is sometimes annoying, but today Tauros has no issues taking him on. We've got Return and we're level 48. Return knocks out the first Dratini, Return knocks out the second, Return finishes the third. In fact, the rest of the gym is no problem, so let's go ahead and face Clair. There's really not much analysis to do on Clair. We're normal type, we're over leveled, her Kingdra is a water type, and her Dragonair could potentially paralyze us if they don't get knocked out, but I think we're strong enough today. First up for Clair is her Dragonair. We hit it with return and do massive damage, but it was a critical, so we'll see if that matters. Okay, her next Dragonair probably has the same stats. We use return and it's gone in one hit, and there was no critical, so that's good. The next Dragonair is going to go down nice and easy as well, but we're on to Kingdra. Return does not knock it out, and then we're hit with Smokescreen, and then Clair gives Kingdra Hyper Potion. So let's try that again. This time Return does even more damage, but it's still not enough. Luckily we don't miss next turn, and Clair is defeated. So now it's time to take on the league. On the way to the league, let's talk about Tauros. So far has been missing one critical move, Earthquake. I promise I'm not just hyping it up, this move is essential. When you combine that with Return, you can hit almost anything, except maybe Aerodactyl, but it's not going to be too much of an issue. Aerodactyl is not very defensive. As the footage is rolling in the back, let's dissect our future challenges in the Elite Four: Lance, Blue, and Red. Most of this applies to Miltank as well. There are some caveats that I'll reveal later. There won't be too much to worry about except for Bruno, Karen, Lance, and Red for the rest of the game. Bruno is fighting type, so that's a disadvantage there. Tauros should have enough defense, however, to take a Mach Punch from Hitmonchan and a Cross Chop from Machamp while taking down Bruno. And then Karen is Karen. Unless Umbreon is a one-hit, then she's always going to be a threat, albeit an annoying one. Lance can also status us, but with rest, I think we're going to be okay today if we time things right. Wait a second, hold on. Is Tauros about to lose? Wake up, Tauros, please. Getting a random reset this late in the game is really disappointing, but this is why having Earthquake is so important. So let's skip ahead to the last baddie battle we'll have for Tauros' run. Pay close attention to the new move. Tauros has an Earthquake. Fortunately, our first test subject for Earthquake is Baddie. He has no idea what's coming, but I can't wait to show him the power of the Quake. First up for Baddie is Sneasel. We're going to use Earthquake against it, and even though it's not super effective, it knocks it out in one hit. We level up here, and Takedown is not going to be a move for us today since we already have Return. Return is more powerful anyways. Against Golbat, we actually can't use Earthquake, so we're going to use Return instead, and it's powerful enough to take it down in one hit. Next up, we've got Magneton. Such a nuisance. What an annoyance. But no more. It goes down to a single Earthquake. Haunter, the bane of our existence earlier in the game, is banished to this Shadow Realm with an Earthquake. We've got Kadabra. It goes down to a single Return. And then we got Typhlosion. So I guess I could have picked a better starter, unfortunately, but it's not really going to matter at the end of the day. It goes down in a single Quake, and we've defeated Baddie. After dominating Baddie, I think he's learned his lesson about being a bad dude. Good for you, sir. I think we're almost ready for the Elite Four. We're gonna grind up to level 54. The stakes are usually high at this point, but I'm in a good mood. I think we're ready for carnage. So it's time to take on the league. First up, we've got Will, and I don't think his Psychic types are gonna be much match for Tauros today. There is ice in the background there, but he's Psychic type. Something strange I thought I'd point out. You know what I always say, if there's a will, there's a way. His first Pokemon is going to be Xatu. We use Return and it goes down in a single hit. Jinx comes out next, and it's not very defensive either. It goes down in a single hit. Exeggutor on the other hand is a bit more defensive, but luckily Return knocks it out in one hit. So far so good. Against Slowbro, I'm not expecting a one hit, but we do get it down to Red, and it uses Curse. It's too little too late. We knock out the Slowbro. We got one Pokemon left, Will's last Xatu. Return takes it down in one hit. Will is cooked. Next up after Will is going to be Koga. I think he's Bug and Poison type. I'm not really 100% sure. What I am sure of though is that Ariados is no match for Tauros in its Return. It goes down in one hit. Next up is Venomoth, and it's not very defensive either. It's going to go down in a single hit from Return. Next up we have Fortress, and it's definitely not going to go down, but Earthquake here is going to do pretty decent damage, and Fortress always goes for spikes, giving us basically 2 free turns. It doesn't explode here, which is really good. It uses Swift instead. This is the first damage we've taken on in the Elite Four. Against Muck, Earthquake should take it out in one hit. It does. Koga's last Pokemon here is going to be Crobat. We need to be careful because it could outspeed us. But if we outspeed it, it shouldn't last very long against us. We use Return and outspeeding the Crobat and knocking it out. I think next time Koga should really beef up his team. Since we've barely taken any damage, I head straight to Bruno. Bruno was one of the trainers I highlighted that is remaining in the game and could challenge us. Some of his Pokemon might not go down in one hit, let's see. So first up for Bruno is going to be Hitmontop. I wonder if Return is going to be enough. It is. So we knock out Hitmontop and we move on to Hitmonlee. I know Return is going to one-hit it here, so I'm looking ahead to Hitmonchan. It has Mach Punch and it stings a little bit, but not as much as I thought. We get Return and it's a critical hit, but I don't think it matters. Where it could matter is with Machamp. I hesitate a little bit and we use Return, but there's no critical and we knock out the Machamp. Wow. And just for fun, we take down Onix with Iron Tail. Bruno, unfortunately, is on brand as usual. Maybe we'll have better luck against Miltank. To Bruno's credit, we did take somewhat significant damage that match, and Karen is next. She's going to be a test, so I do have to do some preparation and healing, but now it's time to take on Karen. I wonder if it's even possible to knock out the Umbreon in one hit. I doubt it. So if it's not clear, there are two main reasons why Karen is such an issue. First is her Umbreon. It's a defensive Pokemon with Sand Attack and Confuse Ray, and Sand Attack is the bigger threat. If you get hit with 3 or 4 of those before you can knock out the Umbreon, well, it's pretty much game over. But if you somehow make it that far, then you have Gengar to worry about. If you miss a few attacks, it's likely going to use Curse, and so you're going to be taking massive damage. With that being said, let's take on Karen. Alright, so first up for Karen is, well, her Umbreon. We're going to use Return, and it does pretty good damage, but then Sand Attack misses. Oh my gosh. Guys, this is huge. Next up is going to be her Vileplume, and it's kind of defensive, but if we knock it out, which we do, then I think the rest of the battle is going to be straightforward. Gengar was a pretty tough opponent early on in the game, but it's no match for Earthquake. Murkrow is Murkrow. It's going to go down to 1 Return. Then Houndoom is next, and Earthquake's 100% accurate, so it's going to hit. We thought Karen was going to be pretty scary. She turned out to be kind of a cowardly battle, but it's not over yet. Tauros has been impressive so far. It's barely taken any damage except Bruno. I have a feeling the battle with Lance will be a little challenging, but I think Tauros has what it takes. Lance's Dragonite could status us, and with bad luck, I think we could get caught in a loop. But if we're able to avoid it using Rest, then I think Tauros can knock everything out relatively quickly. Let's take on Lance. First up for Lance, this is Gyarados. We're going to use Return here, and it knocks it out. Oh man, that is great to see. So against Dragonite, we're going to use Return, and I don't think it's going to knock it out, but Thunder Wave misses. That was really lucky. On the next one, it's not going to knock it out either, but Thunder Wave misses again. Wow. We level up, and it's time to take on Aerodactyl. Luckily, we still have Iron Tail. Thanks, Jasmine. It doesn't miss, and we knock out Aerodactyl. If Gyarados went down in 1 turn, Charizard's going to go down in 1 turn, and it does. So we've got the level 50 Dragonite left. We use Return, doing really good damage, and Outrage doesn't crit. We knock out the level 50 Dragonite, and Lance is done. Tauros has utterly dismantled the entire league. It has a time of about 2 hours and 4 minutes. That's not bad. Tauros has really turned it on after gaining Earthquake. I can't wait to see how it does against Red. Let's check in with Miltank and see if anything will challenge it for the rest of the game. Then we'll see how Tauros finishes off Red. So let's immediately fast forward to Clair as we check in on Miltank. We're at level 48 and cruising through the game. So Miltank shouldn't have too many issues facing Clair. It has a little less attack than Tauros, but if we can knock out the first Dragonair with Return, we should be alright. We use Return and we knock out the first Dragonair. And we also level up, so I think things should be locked in at this point. The second Dragonair goes down to a single Return, and the third Dragonair goes down to a single Return. Against Kingdra, I don't think we're going to knock it out. Surf does moderate damage, but then Clair uses a Hyper Potion. So we're going to get 2 returns in a row here, and we get the 8th badge. So like Tauros, Miltank is going to have a similar time. One exception to talk about is the fact that Miltank doesn't have as much attack as Tauros, but it makes up for that in defense. It's going to take an extra hit or two to knock things out for the rest of the game, which could be problematic. Another interesting tidbit is the lack of rest. Well, there's arguably a better strategy ahead, and we're going to see that unveiled. Let's skip to the rival battle to see what I'm talking about. First up for Baddie is going to be Sneasel, and note that we still have Rollout and Defense Curl. I probably should have swapped these moves out for Earthquake, but let's roll with it for now. By the time we get to the second rollout, we finally knock it out, and Golbat comes out. Rollout knocks that out too. But then we get to Magneton, and although Rollout hits, it doesn't knock it out. so we get paralyzed, and then we finally knock it out. To make matters worse, Haunter comes out and our rollout counter resets. Luckily it uses Mean Luck, but our rollout misses. Then it uses Curse. Then we're paralyzed next turn and Curse damage starts taking effect. We get confused on the next turn and we hit ourselves in confusion and Curse takes damage. Hopefully we can finally hit it here. We do, but we don't knock it out. And Curse takes us down to 1 HP. On the next turn, Confusion looks like it's all but over, but we do knock out the Haunter. However, against Kadabra, unless we get incredible luck, it's all but over. We're fully paralyzed, and it's reset number 3 for Miltank. So that battle was really unlucky, and it was kind of a boneheaded play by me. So let's see if the next attempt is a little better. On the next attempt, we're still sticking with the rollout strategy. Unfortunately, we missed against Sneasel, but if we remember the counter from last time, that actually may not be bad. Against Golbat, it does take 2 rollouts, so my point that I just made is moot. However, we knock out the Magneton quickly without getting paralyzed, and Haunter's unable to get off a Curse. So we kind of roll through the rest of the team without any issue. We finally hit level 53, and we get the move Heal Bell. You might know this move from competitive Pokemon as the move that heals your team of status. That's good and all, but this is the strat that is better than Rest and Sleep Talk. Heal Bell can also cure you of your own status. So that, combined with Milk Drink, basically gives you an extra degree of freedom with managing the battle. You do risk getting paralyzed and trapped in confusion or something like that, but the same thing would happen to you with Rest anyways. In addition, I finally come to my senses and teach Earthquake. We're saying goodbye to our friends Defense Curl and Rollout. They served us well through the mid game, but we're getting an upgrade at a critical time. Anyways, I think it's time to take on the Elite Four. We just leveled up and Miltank is ready. We're going to will our way to victory against Will. First up for Will is Xatu. We're going to use a strategy of return and see what happens. It's enough to knock out the first Pokemon. Jinx is not very defensive, so return knocks it out. Executor is a little more defensive, so it may not knock it out, but we get a critical. I'll take that. Slowbro is definitely not going to be a one hit unless we get a critical, but it goes for Curse, and return number 2 is enough to knock it out. Last for Will is Xatu, and return knocks it out. So we're done with Will. Since we took no damage, we head straight to Koga. So first up for Koga is his ace, Ariados. We use return, and unfortunately Koga's ace is not going to get any moves off against us. Next up is Venomoth, and return takes it down 2. We level up, and now we take on Fortress. I go for Earthquake, and it does about a third. Fortress always uses spikes, so we get another free turn, and Swift doesn't do very much to us. Against Muck, we use Earthquake and knock it out in one shot. We got Crobat next, and return doesn't knock it out. It uses double team, and Koga uses full restore. Return hits, and then return hits again, not missing. So we've defeated Koga. I'm expecting a little more of a hiccup against Bruno. If Tauros could knock most everything out in one hit, I could see Miltank not doing that. So I heal up and restore my power points, just in case anything crazy happens. Let's take on Bruno. So first up for Bruno is Hitmontop. Remember, it's a little more defensive. We use return, and we surprisingly knock it out, but we did get a critical. Against Hitmonlee, no surprises here, we knock it out. However, against Hitmonchan, we might have some trouble. Mach Punch hits, doing critical damage, but we knock it out. Against Machamp, I hesitate a little bit because I'm worried. Return hits, but Cross Chop does massive damage, and it wasn't a critical. So we're down to 39 HP, and we have Onix left. But it should be all easy. Oh no, it survives. Earthquake hits, and does like 10 damage. Poor Onix. That 45 base attack is just not helping. We get the cheeky dub against Bruno, but a little too close for comfort. But I got a feeling this was the biggest hurdle we're going to face today. Let's move on. I'm expecting the battle against Karen to be a little easier than the one against Bruno. However, we are going to need some luck against Umbreon. We use return, and it does a little over half, and then Sand Attack misses again. So we got lucky with both of our Pokemon today. Against Vileplume, it's a little more defensive than most Pokemon, and it uses Stun Spore. Luckily for us, we have Heal Bell, and after a few turns, we're able to cure ourselves of paralysis. We knock out Vileplume and move on. Against Gengar, we use Earthquake, and it's a knockout. Against Murkrow, we use Return, and it's knocked out. Against Houndoom, we use Earthquake, and it's knocked out. So just like that, we've made it to Lance. We showcased the power of Heal Bell that battle. Having that capability of healing any status condition is incredible for these challenges. One downside is the low power points it has, so I have to take time to replenish them, which after I do, I'm ready for Lance. In fact, I even forget to heal before, but will it even matter? I am a little worried about Miltank's attack stat here. I don't think it's going to knock out all of Lance's Pokemon like Tauros did, so we might need a little luck to win out, but let's see what happens. Against the first Gyarados, we're going to have to use Return, and unfortunately for us, it's not enough to take it out. However, what is good for us is it goes for Rain Dance, and so we're able to knock it out next turn. This Dragonite knows Thunder, and during Rain Dance, Thunder has 100% accuracy. It uses Thunder Wave, and I do think about using Heal Bell for a second, but instead I go for Return. I think it'll pay off if we're able to knock it out, which we do, because that means we're not going to take as much damage from the next Dragonite. On this Dragonite, we do use Heal Bell, and it uses Twister against us, which is a pretty bad move. So with the Return, we take it down to orange health and we're paralyzed again. As long as we don't get paralyzed, we should be okay. Hyper Beam is good because that could be two opportunities to either heal or knock it out next turn. I go for Milk Drink, and then as it charges, I knock it out with Return. It's taking a little bit longer, but maybe things will pick up here. Against Aerodactyl, we hit it with Return, and it hits us with Hyper Beam. So I just go for another Return, and we knock it out, but with a critical. I think it mattered. It's kind of hard to tell exactly where Aerodactyl's health was. Against Charizard, we also don't knock it out, so that's really showcasing Miltank's poor attack stat relative to Tauros. Luckily, we're able to knock it out next turn, and on the last Dragonite, we use Heal Bell instead of Milk Drink. I think I got the words Heal and Heal Bell mixed up in my head, but luckily it goes for Safeguard. Outrage does significant damage, so I opt for another Milk Drink here, and then Outrage hits and does massive damage with a critical. So it looks like we're going to have to stall out a little bit here. However, I'm feeling a little more confident when we heal one more time and Dragonite uses Outrage not doing as much damage. So Return takes the Dragonite past half health and Outrage doesn't crit. So we're able to knock out the last Dragonite with one more Return, and Miltank has defeated Lance. It's a pretty good run. A little nerve-wracking for a last battle there. I think it just showcases some of the inconsistencies we will see with Miltank in knocking things out. Miltank finishes the league in about an hour and 44 minutes. We're 20 minutes ahead of Tauros, but the league is not the end of the game. We still need to get the Kanto badges and then take on Red. So we'll skip ahead to Blue's battle and see how that goes. About 25 minutes later, we make it to Blue. We're only at level 64, and with Miltank's lower attack that I keep talking about and won't stop talking about, not yet anyways, we're not going to knock out everything in one hit on Blue's team. And out first for Blue's Pidgeot. Return hits and does not knock it out in one hit. It's Pidgeot, I mean, come on. So this might be a bit of a battle. We have leftovers from the Snorlax, so we're going to heal up a little bit each turn. Next turn we finish off Pidgeot. We also level up to 65, and then comes Alakazam. I am expecting this to be a one hit, and it is. Next up is Rhydon. This is going to be tough. I use Earthquake, and it does over half at least. It uses Sandstorm, which does a bit of damage each turn this generation. The next turn is another Earthquake, and we secure the knockout against Rhydon. Up next is Gyarados, and we both sustain Sandstorm damage. Maybe Return will knock it out, but it doesn't, so it gets to use Hyper Beam. But then another term, Sandstorm, knocks it out. Next up is Exeggutor. We use Return and do a little more than half, and then we're Leech Seeded. I don't think we need to be worried when we knock it out next turn, avoiding any Leech Seed damage. Finally, the Sandstorm subsides, and it's Earthquake time. Arcanine is next, and takes massive damage, but it's still not enough for one hit. Flamethrower does decent damage to us, but it's not enough, and Earthquake takes care of Arcanine and Blue. I'd give that battle a soft 6 out of 10 in terms of discomfort, but we survive, and now we get to take on Red. We're going to keep this moveset heading in. We'll use our rare candies to level up and see how it goes. I don't think Miltank will have too much trouble outside of some critical hits potentially. We match up well against Red's team. One thing to say is we will be slightly underleveled since I don't get every single rare candy in the game, but today we'll have 9. I think there's only 10 total, so it should be close enough. We're at level 67 before I spend my candies, leveling us up to 76. Let's see how Young Bull does against red. First up for red is going to be Pikachu, and today we're going to outspeed with Miltank's fast base speed. Return hits, knocking out the Pikachu, but man, those HP bars move really slow, don't they? Now, Espeon could be interesting. I don't think we're going to knock it out, and we don't. Psychic hits, doing pretty decent damage, but we don't get a special defense drop. That's really good. We knock out Espeon next turn. Now we're moving on to Snorlax. Snorlax could be interesting as well. I don't think we're going to do that much damage. If we do half, we'll be lucky. But instead, we critical hit. Oh my gosh. That is just absolutely amazing. We knock out Snorlax in 2 turns. I did not expect that. Against Venusaur, I'm expecting Return to do about half, and it does. It uses Solar Beam though, so it's not going to be able to hit us. We knock out Venusaur and move on to Charizard. Charizard is a little less defensive, but I'm not expecting a one hit here either. Flamethrower hit's doing really good damage, the most damage we've taken so far, but we don't get burned, so we knock out the Charizard. Finally, we've got Blastoise. If we use Return here, it might go for Rain Dance, and it does. So that means Miltank is going to knock it out, barring some strange quirk, which doesn't happen, and we've defeated red. You know what? I'm going to say it. A job well done. Miltank has beaten the game in about 2 hours and 17 minutes real time, 8 hours 41 minutes game time, at level 76 with only 3 resets. That's really fast. Honestly, it's a really good Pokemon, and this was my first attempt using it. Let's see how Tauros fares in Kanto. For Tauros, we have no issues gathering all the Kanto badges. We head to Mount Silver at level 68, so we'll be taking on red at level 77. I also decided to swap out Iron Tail for Sleep Talk. I don't think Iron Tail will be useful anymore at this point against red's team. So let's see how Tauros fares against red. First up for red is going to be Pikachu. Now, it takes me a second here to decide, and I probably should have gone for Earthquake, but instead I go for Return, and as we wait, we knock out the Pikachu. These HP bars are still going slow. Against Espeon, I'm interested to see if we knock it out, and we do. That's really good. So I'm thinking we'll do pretty decent damage to Snorlax. I don't think we'll get a crit, but I wonder if we'll do half. We do over half, and it goes for Amnesia, so 1 Return is going to knock it out. That's good. Just like that, we have 3 Pokemon left. Against Venusaur, I'm anticipating Solar Beam. I think about using Earthquake, but I don't think it's super effective. It goes for Solar Beam, so we knock out Venusaur without taking any damage so far. I'm feeling pretty good. This battle's not too hard. We almost knock out the Charizard and it hits us with Flamethrower, and then we get burned. Uh-oh, this could be bad. But luckily we knock out the Charizard, so we move on to red's last Pokemon, Blastoise. We should be fine. We hit it with a Return, and Return takes it to a 3rd. It goes for Rain Dance, and we hit it with another Return. Then it goes for Surf, doing so much damage because it was a critical, knocking us out. So that was a bad play by me. I think if I had gone for Rest and just used Sleep Talk, we would have taken the victory. I got greedy there, so I apologize. Let's try that again. On our second attempt against red, let's see if we learned from our mistakes. Against the first Pikachu, I'm just going to use Return. It's a 1-hit knockout. We move on to Espeon. We knocked Espeon out last time. I wonder if it was a range. Doesn't seem like it was. So we move on to Snorlax. We use Return, and it still does over half. And it goes for Amnesia, and Return is physical. So Amnesia's not going to help there. We knock out Snorlax. Moving on to Venusaur. I want to confirm my suspicions, so I use Earthquake. Unfortunately, it's not super effective, but fortunately we do over half damage still, so Return knocks it out next turn. Against Charizard, we actually do less damage, but what actually matters is Flamethrower hits and doesn't burn us, so we knock out the Charizard on our second attempt. Against Blastoise, we go for Return. I'm curious how much damage it does, and it does over half. Blastoise doesn't use Rain Dance, it uses Surf. So next turn we knock the Blastoise out, meaning we've defeated red. It took Tauros 2 hours and 42 minutes, with an in-game time of about 9 hours and 55 minutes, with 7 resets at level 77. Well, that was a lot of fun. Comparing these 2 generational counterparts was very interesting. I have to say, even with all the hurdles for Tauros, I am a little bit disappointed in its performance. I think there were some better strategies I could have used, but the gap between it and Miltank is too large for Tauros to overcome. I think maybe one thing to speed things up would be to teach Surf to Tauros before Jasmine to help speed that battle up, and later let it forget the move and teach Earthquake in its place. Fire Blast could also work here as well. Other than some other mistakes I made, I don't see a lot of room for Tauros to close the gap though, since a lot of its disadvantages are based on its design and move pool. I get why Earthquake is locked up until the end of the game, because with Earthquake, Tauros would be a lot better in the challenge. While Tauros was surprising in one way, Miltank was surprising in the other. It's really, really good. In fact, it might be a while before I get to use a better Pokemon. I think Rollout does wear out its welcome after the mid-game, but Miltank is just Tauros plus. So if I had to grade these two, I'd give Miltank a solid grade A, and Tauros gets a respectable B. I've iterated on these points already, but it comes down to moves and access for the most part. I think I prefer Tauros' stats, but Miltank is extremely good for these challenges. Well, that's going to wrap things up, so let's move on to some administrative things. Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I'm also on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This content is just heating up, and I still have so many ideas that I'll deploy over the growth of this channel. I'll take any feedback you guys have anytime, so even after this video is published, I'll still read every single comment. Just remember to be friendly to anyone you encounter in the comments. I made a few shorts, and while those were fun, these videos are definitely the most rewarding part of the process. So I'll be focusing on making those for the most part with shorts to try and draw an audience in. We'll see who sticks around. Well, with that, we'll see which forgotten Pokemon we do in the next challenge. See you then.